Hi folks, my name's Deepak Shukla and welcome to my Unacademy YouTube course, How to Get a Place at Oxford, Cambridge and other top European universities. If you're looking to prepare for examinations and take courses for any number of topics, head to unacademy.com, India's largest learning platform, and stay tuned for this course to make sure that you get into the top university. Brought to you by Deepak Shukla and Unacademy. Welcome back to part 6 of how to get a place at Oxford or Cambridge by writing a personal statement. So this is the actual guide that UCAS do provide for you. I'll share a link with this to you in the description in the documents that you'll get. And let's just walk through it together. Ultimately, take you through some of the questions that you really need to be thinking about when writing a personal statement. So as it says here, there's boxes on the left hand side of the screen. So you've got 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you've got skills and achievements, 6, 7, and then you've got work and future plans, 8, 9. So ultimately there's 9 questions that you need to answer that will help you construct an appropriate personal statement. It says it to you at the top, review and refine your answers to make them succinct and improve the flow. Remember, you have a maximum of 4,000 characters of text as we discussed, so keep an eye on how much you're writing for each section. When you're finished, click the PDF button to create a copy of what you've written and get going with your first draft. Click on the advice tab at the top of the page to get handy hints on writing your personal statement. Please note this will take you to a new page, so it's best to save your work elsewhere first. So a little trick that you can do is hover over the advice page, double click if you're on a Mac, or right click if you're on Windows, depending if you've got a right hand button on your mouse. I'm just using the trackpad. And then you can open link in new tab and it will take you through to the actual advice as it shows you here. So look, as you can see, do's when writing your personal statements and don't when writing your personal statements. So before we begin writing, let's just have a look at some of the things it has to tell us here. So some of the things we've already covered, of course. Do your best English, don't you let spelling and grammatical errors spoil the statement. That's cool. Show that you know your strengths and can outline your ideas clearly. So what are your strengths? What is it that you're bringing to the table? What is it that makes you the best medic student, potential medic student to Oxford University? What is it that makes you the best physicist potentially that's going to go to Cambridge, right? Be enthusiastic, as we said. So these are a lot of the things that we've actually covered always. Do expect to produce several drafts and do ask people to get their feedback. Don't exaggerate. You may get caught up by an interviewer when asked to elaborate on an interesting achievement. So don't exaggerate. Just tell things as they are, and recognize value where you can. Don't rely on spell check. We said don't leave it to the last minute. Okay, cool. So this is all fine. So we'll click out of that. And we're back here. Okay, so let's just go through the actual questions it asks. So writing about the course. Why are you applying for the chosen course? Okay, so that's the first question that you need to think about when writing a personal statement. So what we'll do is that, so English, so we'd say what? And it will tell you the number of characters used, right? So I'm going to write this as if it was for myself. I'm going to write in some of the answers just so you get a sense of what it's like to prepare a personal statement for Oxford and Cambridge. So why are you applying for the chosen course? So the chosen course, and let's just open this up for me. This I find very helpful. It's called Typora. It's generally minimalist writing screen. It's used for developers more than anything. I'm not a developer, but I do find it to be very helpful. And let me just see if I can sort out my camera setting, by the way, quickly to see if there's another setting. Photo, camera, logic. So I'm using I can't find the setting that I'm actually looking for to try and lighten my screen a little bit, but it doesn't matter. I'm over here in the corner. So as we can see, the course I'm applying for is, let's say, English literature. And let's just go through this together. So why are you applying for this chosen course? So English literature. So what I want to think about is, well, why am I applying for English? The natural answer is to be like, well, I like the course, but that's not going to be enough. That's not going to be enough. So what we want to think about, and this is how you begin writing the statement, right? So you'd say, I have a natural, working with my natural strengths. That's one. Speaking English in literature. Grew up a huge fan of literature. Favorite author Willard Price in my early teens, and huge fan of William Blake would say. Okay, cool. So what I'm doing actually at the moment, and this is how I suggest that you prepare and approach this, is what you want to do is ultimately, and if we, for example, let's take this into to Microsoft Word. If we get the bad boy open, there's my old Hotmail picture I've still got up. Amazing. So if we, for example, take this into Word, if you prefer like Google Sheets, whatever whatever it is that you might use, but we can like literally, do that, do this, as you're beginning to get the idea now, and begin basically preparing your answers and having them saved in a document. Now, what I recommend for preparation to do this is I'd recommend actually just going right over to Drive, google.com. As you can see here. So we're going to open that up, and I use an app called Magnet, which you'll see there. Magnet, there you go, to screens in half, if you will. I'll go to, this is my Drive, this is my company, Gmail. I'll go into personal one. Let's put the laptop off my lap because the fan goes wild. And I'd recommend putting it into an actual document like this. Let me close some applications. You might notice that sometimes you have a fan that likes wild a little bit. I do recommend just closing applications. So closing some applications to ease up the strain on the processor. So example, draft personal statement for English. Hey guys, so I just paused the video basically whilst I was just copy pasting all of these section headers. As you can see, the 3 section headers writing about the course, skills and achievements, and work experience and future plans. So I've gone ahead and put them into a document. The reason that I like Drive ultimately is because you can share this, of course. This is a Google, part of the Google suite of kind of their version of Office in the cloud. This is called Google Sheets specifically. And the whole thing is called Google Drive, and you can go ahead and, as you can see, I can actually share documents. So let's just say, for example, I was going to share it with my brother. Then that would be his email, and I could go ahead and share it with him, and I could choose his access level, edit, comment, view, and I can add a note to it. Hi brother, please ignore this. It's just a test. And I could give him comment abilities. So then I could go to send, and I'd send to my brother. Or alternatively, I can click get shareable link. Anyone with a link could view, and then you can go ahead and just share it with anybody to get lots of kind of comments. And this is the options, and then you've got advanced options furthermore. Send a copy to myself, so I'll send a copy to myself, paste the item itself into the email. Just have a go with those two just so you can see, and you share the link. So send that. So that has been done now. So now if I exit this and head over into my email, you'll see exactly what I mean when it comes to sharing. Head out of my work email. Let's head over into here. Just let that load. Perfect. Checking on my thingy. Activity stopped. Perfect. So drafts personal statement for English literature. And as you can see, it's been pasted in here. Hi brother, please ignore this, it's just a test. But he would get a snapshot of the item below, so he could see it directly here, or he could open it up in Docs, and it would appear for him just as it's appeared for myself. And as you can see, it's a really useful way of being able to share documents. So these are the elements that we want to really consider when putting it together, right? Why are you applying for the chosen university? So you need to, for your chosen course. So in the case of, English literature. Hey chaps, I've paused the video a few times because of the fan, but I'm going to just plow on. So why have you chosen this? Why have you chosen? Why are you applying for your chosen course? So with the first draft of preparing your personal statement, don't worry about the form. Don't worry about it's just about getting the ideas and the information down. Okay. So what we're going to do is I'm going to storm through and put a series of bullet points, and you can watch me live if you choose whilst I do this to help you see how I process putting together a personal statement. So why are you applying for your chosen course? English literature, always displayed attitude for this subject. Grew up reading fiction. To Tolkien. Fiction subject. So William Blake is a poet who wrote songs of experience and songs of innocence. Do look him up. That's Salman Rushdie of Midnight's Children and the Satanic Verses, as well as a couple of others. And Tolkien is the Lord of the Rings chap, a name that I'm sure you're familiar with. So why are you applying for this chosen course? Wish to political skills. Understand literary roots of my favorite authors. So as you can see here, I'm keeping it focused upon the academic area. Again, these are just ideas. We're going to go through and kind of review and test these ideas against the real world. So why does this subject interest you? See, this question is difficult in some respects to distinguish from this one. So with your chosen course, we'll probably also look at English literature course. So I recommend you do this as well. You could go over to the actual course itself. Fees, key information set. Just have a look. ELL career typical weekly timetable, and here we go. We can pull that out of here, bring this across, and we can look specifically at the modules that you could be studying as part of this actual course. So it says English literature, introduction, early medieval literature, two of my favorite authors, through medieval through Greek and medieval literature. So that's one thing that we could let me just pause this because it may well be why. There you go. We'll pause that. Put a pause there. So this could be another reason. So what I'm doing here, if you notice, is that I'm looking at the actual module and syllabus for English at Oxford, and I'm building that in to my actual reasons for why this course. So, for example, why this subject interests you. These two ultimately are probably more applicable to why this subject interests me. I've always displayed an aptitude for the subject, grew up reading lots of fantasy fiction from Rushdie to Tolkien, wish to continue. So this is about English more broadly, the subject of English literature and language, and this refers to the actual specific course. Okay, do you see the distinction? Because the course is concerned with like the specific modules and the things you'll be studying, and the subject is of course a bit more wider and broader than that. So that's why that's why there is a difference. And as you can see, I'm just sorting out these elements as I go. So why I choose to apply for this course, which develop my analytical skills through exploration of or through analysis of famous plays, playwright, famous fiction in a theatric and novel form. So one could argue that maybe I'm trying to be a bit more fancy with the language here, and again, this is all open for debate. What I'm trying to underline through doing some of these elements for you is ultimately that at this stage, when you are beginning to write the perfect, what's going to be ultimately the perfect personal statement, is that it's about just putting the ideas down onto paper, and then we can go back through and start teasing out the relevant parts that we need. So why does this subject interest you? Always pay attention. So as you asked to sit, and for me, my GCSEs at 14 rather than 16. Asked to sit my not GCSEs, but a couple of them, English GCSE at 14 rather than 16. Why does this subject interest me? We should continue. Identify with the isolation of some of the famous characters such as Frodo and Pip. Pip is a character from Great Expectations, and that's something that we'll probably talk about the actual course rather. Frodo and Pip in Great Expectations. So as you can, okay, so Frodo goes on a great journey in Lord of the Rings, and I can talk about the sense of myself being on a journey, a kind of Bildungsroman, a coming of age, and Pip does the same in Great Expectations, who is Charles Dickens. So in talking about these two, I could talk, well, it's about the subject more broadly rather than in a specific course, because unless I find a specific reference to Dickens here, then it's oh, this is really interesting actually. So they give you the intake, the numbers, 226 people, and then you have 22% of them are actually successful, 59%. So 59% were interviewed, 22% of those were successful. This offers the actual options in terms of the things that you will be studying. So there you go. So there are a couple of reasons. We're beginning to build them now. That's 1, that's 2, that's 3. We've got another one here, we've got another one there, we've got another one there. Why do you think you're suitable for the course? Critical thinker, enjoy the depth of the analyzing character development, such as with Frodo's decision to go on this journey and his true motivations. That's one example. Why do I think you're a thinker? Enjoy the ability to form a thesis, form multiple theses based upon the same evidence. And so what I'm trying to do now, as you can see, is I'm developing sets of 3. So this is the thing to think about again, is that for each point I'm developing, for each question I'm developing 3 points, which will help me ultimately build out a complete personal statement. And as you see, I am trying to find as much as I can quite practical reasons to demonstrate why I'm applying for this course, why the subject interests me, and why do I think I'm suitable for the course. It's very academic driven, as you can see. I've not made any reference to my wider life, my activities, or my interests, and I'm trying to get quite involved because the people that are going to be reading this are subject matter experts. You know, they're world class in their area, so they want to show, or they want to see, that you have some level of depth in your thinking when it comes to making comments about the subject that you're intending to study at university. So this is why I'm not just saying, you know, Great Expectations is a great book of mine. I'm saying that, you know, I really identify with like Pippin in Great Expectations because of the journey that he goes from a kind of rags to riches story, and I can identify with that as someone who's come from a migrant family. And you know, Pip in some ways has a benefactor, and he feels a sense of dislocation, of not really belonging, and I feel that, you know. So this is, you heard me talking out loud. These are some examples of how I think you can begin building your actual personal statement using these kinds of ideas, and you'll go through and add, you know, bullet points and comments to each of these sections, and in the next video we will continue going through some of these in order to build out a rough plan before we finally put it all together and build what could be the perfect personal statement.